Grace Shalom Hopkins, and welcome to a special mini episode of Spin Weekly where I discuss. Are you sitting down? Number one, most requested episode in the history of Spin Weekly is about to hit right now. How to spin a center pole ball. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to do a voiceover, so I have a real-time, start-to-finish center pole ball walkthrough demonstration that is about to happen. So, let's get started.
Alright, so first of all, what you need to do is tie the yarn around your wrist. Now don't double knot it. And then with your fingers spread like I'm showing, wrap around and around and around. You're going to keep wrapping until you have a fairly good amount going parallel beside each other. So I'm checking. Now I'm going to go and crisscross. See how I carefully place my next diagonal? I do this to make sure that the yarns don't just go every which way. Now, no matter what technique you use, your main goal here is to keep everything neat. So in the video you can see how they started to kind of pucker and bunch at the top, and then I stopped and worked a diagonal on the other side. See? So what I'm doing is I'm kind of catching and covering up the untidy bits and frequently changing from the two different Bean is here helping as always. Frequently changing from the two different diagonals to the just plain like I'm doing now, over and over and over parallel. This is my first voiceover and I have a cold, so you're gonna have to forgive me. And then as you can tell, my fingers are starting to squish in, and that's okay. I just start them out wide, so that way as the ball naturally compacts, I don't end up cutting my circulation off. Because if you start off with your fingers squished together, then it's going to compact even further and you're going to be in a pickle. So here you can see kind of the the wrapping pattern that I have. And then once it's kind of a formed ball, you can wrap in any direction that you want as long as you wrap several times in that direction and you don't, it's a straight linear path. So when you're wrapping this, if you've ever wrapped a yarn ball, you know that if you just wrap it every which direction, across the surface of the ball, there's yarn just going every which way. But if you pick a spot and wrap around that, so that way all of the strands of yarn that you're wrapping are radiating out from the one point that you started, your ball looks way nicer. That's kind of what we're going for here. Neatness. That is the main key that prevents things from going nuts. Another really big key is don't wrap it around the top of your hand or your fingers. So if you're directly wrapping and it feels like you're wrapping it around your fingers or any part of your flesh that's sticking out, unwrap that piece and get it to go back around the ball. Because what'll happen if you're using you as the core of that wrap is when you pull out, it's just going to fall in, and the main tangles come from the loops. So the loop falls in and other yarns get scooped up in it, and then as you go to pull to ply, that loop becomes like a pseudo knot, and that's where problems happen. So that's a pro tip when you're using the center pole ball is don't pull when you feel like you've got a knot. Check and see if you've got a loop, because that's usually what happens. So, a lot of you ask why I do a center pole ball, and the reason I do a center pole ball is frankly kind of funny. I really hate changing the bobbin on my wheel, and I found that the center pole ball is a way to ply with no waste and no bobbin change, which in my opinion is just, I mean, does it get any better than that? So that's the big reason why I do it. But as always, my goal here is to inspire and empower you. So if a center pull ball is a tool that doesn't work for you, use a plying tool that does. There's Nasser Pines, and there's Andean Plying, and there's Lazy Kates, and you can even wind two just regular yarn balls off and ply from there. So as long as you are happy with your plying technique, then nobody can make you feel like a lousy plier. um, so you can see now that I've set up the sort of structure of the ball. Things are really neat. There's no crazy loose ends, and I'm just going around shaping the ball in a ball shape. Again, this is my first voiceover, so be nice. I'm not a skilled orator. But anyway, so I've came to the end, and you just wind off, and then on the inside you can see that it's pretty neat.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you are curious how this yarn turned out, go to the 2 rovings drafted and plied part 1 video. These yarns are inspired by the book Yarnitecture, and you can check out that review also at the Yarnitecture review, and I've linked both of those things down below. If you have any further questions or suggestions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I hope this really helped solve all of your woes. There is an art to it, like I said. Practice. For me, learning the art was more important and easier psychologically than having my wheels tension get all dorked up every time I changed it. That drove me nuts. If you think messing with the tension on the wheel is easier, or you don't have that problem, I mean, let's face it, the Lazy Kate method is going to be easier, but it depends on your wheel and how it functions, and you. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.